right on me. Bye, dang, I had to beat him up on camera. Knock his ass out. That's how you gotta do him, y'all. You got to beat your man. Like, that's just what it is.
A man found injured in the same house a Copperas Cove woman was found dead in has been arrested himself in connection to the case. 37-year-old Kevin Frazier is charged with murder and aggravated assault. On April the 7th, police in Copperas Cove responded to a home on Hobby Road after someone from the residence called 911 and then hung up. When they got there, they found 33-year-old Destiny Carey dead from a gunshot wound. Frazier was also suffering from a gunshot wound but survived. After an investigation, police have now charged Frazier with Carey's death. He's in the Coryell County Jail tonight with a bond of $1.7 million.
She did everything right. That's how family and friends remember 33-year-old Destiny Jasmine Carey, a loving mother of 6, a nurse, and the proud owner of a growing fashion boutique in Central Texas. She worked hard, never gave up, and poured everything she had into her children and her dreams. People saw her smile every day. They saw her post uplifting messages online. They saw a woman on the rise, happy, glowing, and always working toward something better. But something wasn't right. On the afternoon of April 7th, 2022, Destiny was found shot to death inside her Copperas Cove home. Just minutes before, a 911 call came from the house, and then went silent. When 10 police arrived, they expected to check in, maybe settle a domestic dispute. Instead, they kicked down the door and stepped into a scene they couldn't have imagined. One woman, lifeless, one man on the floor, and a police officer injured by gunfire. How did things get this far? How did a man who once called her his world?
Love you, Destiny. Give me the motherfucking love. Okay. Hey, my motherfucking wife, I love her to death. We have our ups and downs, just like everybody. We have our ups and downs like everybody else. But she know at the end of the day where her motherfucking head is.
Become the reason she's no longer here. This is the story of Destiny Jasmine Carey, a life full of purpose, love, and promise. Ended far too soon. And what really happened that day inside the house on Hobby Road? Let's find out. Her name was Destiny Jasmine Carey, but in her community, many knew her as Destiny Cannon, a name that stood for strength, success, and style. She was only 33 years old, but had already lived a life that inspired everyone around her. She was a mother of 6 children who looked up to her, depended on her, and loved her more than words could say. She was their world, and she made sure they had one full of love, comfort, and possibility. She was also a nurse, a caregiver at heart. When others were in pain, Destiny showed up with calm hands and a steady voice. But that wasn't all. She was a fashion designer and the proud CEO of Hazer Diddy Boutique in Killeen, Texas. Her shop was more than just a business. It was a dream brought to life, built stitch by stitch with her own vision. The boutique quickly became a go-to spot for women who wanted something bold, something beautiful, just like Destiny. And the best part, she often modeled her own creations, confident, bright, full of life. She balanced it all, kids, career, business. Destiny didn't make excuses, she made it happen. People around her called her a force, a go-getter, a woman who made you feel good just by being in the same room. Her laugh was the kind that filled a space, the kind that stayed with you long after she was gone. And she wasn't just building her own life, she helped build others. Friends say she would help anyone. She shared business tips with other mums, gave clothes away when someone couldn't afford them. She was generous with her time, her heart, and her hope. According to her daughter, "My mum always wanted to be happy. She was always a fun person, and her laugh lit up the room." In private moments and on public Facebook Lives, she showed love, energy, and joy. She went out, she danced, she laughed, and she lived loudly. She had big plans, too. Destiny was preparing to open a third boutique in Dallas. She was just getting started. But while her public life looked perfect, while photos showed smiles and videos showed love, there were cracks beginning to form. And if you looked closely, there were small moments, warnings, moments when her energy seemed dimmer, posts that felt more like coded messages than quotes. Just hours before her death, she shared something online. "One thing I know is that you all need to stop letting people have so much power over you. You should not be on the same subject on day 2. No names, no direct mention. But the tone was different, heavy. To anyone else, it might have seemed like a random post, but now, it feels like something more. From the outside, her life was bright, but inside that home, something was shifting. And on April 7th, 2022, everything changed. If you believe women like Destiny deserve to be remembered, tap that like button. Drop a heart in the comments to honor her legacy and her light. He said he loved her. He called her his queen. He smiled for the cameras, posted their photos, and claimed the world was better with her in it. His name was Kevin Frazier, a U.S. Army veteran. To friends and followers online, he was Destiny's other half. They laughed together on camera, hugged in selfies, celebrated birthdays, wore matching outfits. 6 years of memories, some real, some carefully posed. But social media isn't always the full story, and what looked like love may have been something else. In the beginning, things seemed solid. They were a blended family, raising kids, running businesses, making moves. He supported her boutique, appeared in her videos, and stood beside her at events. But slowly, little things started to feel off. At first, it was harmless teasing. Then came the questions. Why are you posting that? Where are you going? Who's going to be there? Destiny was shining, her business growing, her following rising, her independence stronger than ever. And as she rose, so did his discomfort. According to people close to her, Kevin didn't like the attention she got. He didn't like her being out late. He didn't like the way she dressed for her own brand. He wanted her, but he wanted her smaller, less visible, less her. Destiny didn't share everything publicly, but she left clues. In videos, her tone shifted. In posts, her words became sharper. Like this one, shared just hours before she was killed. One thing I know is that you all need to stop letting people have so much power over you. You should not be on the same subject on day 2. It wasn't aimed at anyone directly. But looking back, it feels like a message from a woman who was tired. Tired of being silenced, tired of repeating herself, tired of trying to fix what kept falling apart. Behind closed doors, arguments became more frequent. She wanted freedom. He wanted control. Some who knew them said he began monitoring her movements. Others say she started pulling away. In one video, Destiny hinted at being done with it all. In another, she wore a tired smile, the kind that hides more than it shows. There were no official restraining orders, no police reports made public. But the emotional pressure, the control, it was there, quiet, growing. And that's what makes stories like this so hard to see coming. Because there were no screaming headlines before April 7th, no public fights, no visible bruises. Just a successful woman, a smiling partner, and a home that was slowly losing its peace. Until one day, it lost everything. It didn't happen all at once. It was slow, quiet, almost invisible to anyone looking from the outside. But to those paying attention, the change in Destiny was clear. Her smile didn't reach her eyes anymore. Her posts were less frequent. The glow she carried, the confidence that made people admire her, started to dim. As her business took off, her home life grew more tense. Friends said she was exhausted. Family said she talked less. Those closest to her started to worry, but when they asked if everything was okay, she just said she was handling it. She always had. Destiny had built a name for herself in Killeen, Texas, just outside Copperas Cove, a town with deep military roots, a community of strong families, hard-working people, and quiet streets. But even quiet towns carry dark stories, and Copperas Cove has seen its share. According to local data, domestic violence calls in Coryell County, where Copperas Cove sits, have increased over the last several years. Like many towns near military bases, the stress, trauma, and pressure behind closed doors often go unspoken. Unseen. Kevin Frazier had been seen before by police. Records from nearby Killeen police show he had prior arrests, though it's unclear how many involved violence. What is clear is that Destiny began trying to leave. She hinted at separation. She pulled back from public videos with Kevin. She started focusing more on her brand, her children, and herself. But trying to walk away isn't easy, especially when control is part of the equation. People who knew them say Kevin would show up unexpectedly, that he'd go through her phone, that he didn't want her out late or talking to certain people. Destiny never filed a restraining order. There's no public record of her reporting him. But that doesn't mean it wasn't happening. Sometimes victims don't call the police, not because they don't want help, but because they're afraid. Afraid of what happens after that call. Afraid of being blamed. Afraid of losing everything. Still, Destiny tried to push forward. She opened new store locations. She created new designs. She stayed strong for her 6 children, working to create a better life. But the pressure was building. And on April 7th, 2022, that pressure finally reached its breaking point. If you're still watching, it means you're someone who listens, who believes stories like Destiny Jasmine Carey should be known, remembered, and honored. Please consider liking this video, sharing your thoughts in the comments, and subscribing to our channel. Someone out there may need to hear this. April 7th, 2022. It was a Thursday. A regular weekday in Copperas Cove. Families were out. The sun was high. There was no warning. Nothing to suggest what was about to happen inside that quiet house on the corner. 12:25 p.m. A 911 call comes in. It's from Destiny Carey's home, but it ends almost as fast as it started. No words, just a hang-up. Officers are sent to check. It's routine, a welfare check. They've done it hundreds of times, but this time was different. When the officer arrives, he knocks. A man's voice answers from inside. "Kevin Frazier," he tells the officer to wait. Then, suddenly, a scream. "Hi, sharp!" Then silence. The officer doesn't wait. He kicks the door in. Inside the house, it's chaos. A gun is fired. The officer is hit by shrapnel, his leg bleeding. He goes down, but keeps his eyes on the room. What he sees next will stay with him forever. Destiny Carey is lying near the front door. She's been shot. There's blood on the floor. She's not moving. Kevin Frazier is in the living room, injured, gunshot wounds to the torso. There's confusion. Was there a struggle? Did Kevin shoot himself? Was it intentional or accidental? Some say there was shouting heard earlier. Others say it was quiet until the end. The officer calls for backup. He restrains Kevin. He kneels beside Destiny. He tries to save her. CPR, pressure, everything he can think of. But it's no use. Destiny Carey is pronounced dead at the scene. Her life, full of promise, cut short in the very home she built for her family. The boutique owner, the mother of 6, the woman with dreams bigger than the city she lived in, gone. The home is now cordoned off with yellow tape. Officers comb through the rooms, children's toys, fashion sketches, family photos, a life interrupted. The official report states that Destiny died from multiple gunshot wounds. Kevin was taken to the hospital for treatment, then into custody. He would survive his injuries, she would not. In the hours that followed, word spread fast. Friends, family, customers, strangers, all asking the same question: why? No one saw this coming, at least not like this. A woman loved by so many, gone in seconds. After the shots were fired, after the officer was injured, after Destiny Carey was pronounced dead, questions came fast. What really happened inside that house? And more importantly, why? Kevin Frazier was still alive. He was taken by ambulance to Carl R. Darnell Army Medical Center in Killeen. His wounds were serious, but not fatal. Police stayed by his side, not as protectors, but as guards. The moment doctors cleared him for release, he was no longer a patient. He was under arrest. At the hospital, Kevin was interviewed. Later, he was brought to the Copperas Cove Police Department for questioning. 2 sessions, 2 chances to explain. But his answers didn't add up. One moment he claimed it was an accident. Another moment he claimed Destiny had the weapon. He paused, repeated himself, changed the order of events, investigators noticed. And they weren't the only ones. The 911 call, the scream, the officer wounded, the location of Destiny's body. All of it told a different story, one that couldn't be erased by confusion or excuses. Detectives recovered the gun used in the shooting. They reviewed phone records, security footage, social media posts, and piece by piece, the truth came together. Kevin Frazier was charged with murder in the first degree, aggravated assault on a public servant for injuring the officer during the response. His bond was set at $1.7 million. He didn't post it. He sat in jail, waiting. Outside, something else was happening. At Destiny's boutique in Killeen, people gathered. Friends, customers, strangers. They left candles, flowers, photos. Some stood in silence. Some cried. Some whispered prayers outside the windows she once decorated with her own hands. A woman who built so much, now remembered with tears and ribbons. The community she poured her energy into was now rallying for justice. And behind the scenes, detectives kept pushing. Interviews, forensics, statements. Because in a case like this, nothing gets assumed. Everything must be proven. Destiny Carey was gone. But her voice, her work, her memory was still speaking. Now it was up to the justice system to listen. Destiny Carey was buried on April 16th, 2022. The day was overcast, quiet. Hundreds gathered, family, friends, customers, even strangers, each carrying something. Flowers, candles, questions. 6 children stood without their mother. The youngest, too little to understand. The oldest, forced to grow up overnight. Her daughter spoke softly at the service. She was everything. She helped everybody. She always had a plan. She always wanted to help other mums. Now she's gone. And just like that, the woman who once lit up a room was gone forever. But the search for justice? That was just beginning. Kevin Frazier stayed behind bars at the Coryell County Jail, charged but not yet tried. Court hearings were scheduled, delayed, rescheduled. Prosecutors gathered their case. The defense made motions. And all the while, Destiny's family waited. Waited for answers, waited for justice, waited for closure that, for many, may never come. Police confirmed the findings. Destiny died from gunshot wounds. There was no sign of a break-in. The only other person inside was her husband. Social media erupted. On Facebook and TikTok, women across the country shared Destiny's story. Some spoke out about their own experiences with abuse. Others asked why so many red flags had been ignored. The Heiser Diddy Boutique page, once full of fashion posts, became a tribute wall. Comments flooded in, "Rest in peace, Queen. You were the light in this city." Your story saved my life. Advocates picked up her name. Non-profits used her case in domestic violence workshops, flyers, panels, marches. Her face, a reminder of what can happen when control turns to violence and when no one intervenes in time. Kevin Frazier's trial still looms, and until that verdict comes in, Destiny's family lives in limbo. No amount of court dates or sentencing can bring her back. But the people she touched, the ones she helped, the kids she raised, the women she inspired, they refuse to let her be forgotten. Destiny Carey was more than a victim. She was a builder, a mother, a friend, a force. And while her life was stolen, her voice still echoes. Could Destiny's death have been prevented? Were there signs we all missed? And if those signs were there, why didn't we act on them sooner? Destiny was a fighter. She was building her empire, raising 6 kids, and helping other women. But despite all her strength, one person had the power to control her fate. Kevin Frazier. A man with a violent past, a man who, despite his history, was allowed into her life, into her home, into her children's lives. And the question remains, why? Why did someone with a known violent history have such easy access to Destiny? Reports show that Kevin had run-ins with the law before, charges, altercations. His behavior didn't happen overnight, it escalated. But no one was watching. No one intervened. The law allowed him to slip through the cracks. Could stricter monitoring have saved her? Could authorities have done more to protect her? What about the emotional testimony that flooded the court after Destiny's death? Her family? Her friends? Voices pleading for justice. Should that have played a bigger role in decisions like bail? Should his past been more than just a line on a record? We often ask why victims don't leave, why they stay in abusive relationships. But maybe the real question is, why are abusers allowed to stay? Why are they allowed to continue their pattern of violence without serious consequence? How many women, just like Destiny, are silenced before anyone listens? How many are hurt, neglected, and left to suffer because the systems meant to protect them fail? The tragic loss of Destiny Carey serves as a stark reminder. We can do better. We must do better. Her story is not over. It's a call for change. Do you think justice was truly served in this case? Have you ever ignored red flags in someone close to you? How can we better protect families from predators inside the home? This is a conversation we need to have. Destiny's story is far from the only one like it. It's time we listen. It's time we act. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. Like this video if this case shocked you. Subscribe for more real-life crime stories that need to be heard. Together, we can raise awareness and demand change.